For more on this, let's talk to John Wang. He's the founder and president of the Asian American Business Development Center. John, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
John, with immigration, a big issue in this election, Hillary Clinton has made a very, very strong play for the Hispanic vote. She's also targeted Black or African American voters, but the Asian minority has really not been a big focus in terms of this looking at minority groups. Why is that?
Right. Well, I think that's a mistake that they overlooked Asian American because, as you know, from some of the study, the Asian American could be a decisive factor in some of the battleground states. And so I think that any campaign, need to really look at Asian American carefully.
Well, at the moment, they make up about 4%. That's according to Pew. Hispanics, to put things in perspective, make up about 12%. But Asians are growing faster than any other demographic group from 2000 to 2010. So in the future, do you see more concerted efforts being made to focus?
For sure. I think that the demographic shift is going to make this country a whole different place because we are talking about, as I always say, new majority. And that with the African American, Latino, Asian American, and the Native American together, you form a new majority. And this will happen in probably 20, 25 years. And that's very significant because that's how it determines the future of America.
When we say Asian, just to clarify, the top 5 origin countries of Asian immigrants: India, China, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Korea.
Right.
And according to the Census Bureau, on average, Asian immigrants are more educated and they have higher household incomes than the overall immigrant and U.S.-born populations.
That's
so
right.
with these demographics, if one is to make sweeping generalizations, in which direction does the Asian population usually vote, typically?
Well, historically, Asian Americans tend to be voting Democrat. And probably, well, of course, that people are, certainly they're Republican, Asian Republicans, but by and large, as many of the exit polls show, the Asian Americans have been voting Democrat.
Well, one of the big positions of Democrats has been a pro-immigration one, if you will. Clinton has said that she'll grant citizenship, a path to citizenship to illegal immigrants. Do you think that that then incentivizes more illegal immigration?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that this country has a pretty strong border control, especially after 9/11. They certainly instituted a very stringent policy in terms of, people entering this country. And but I mean, we have to look at it. This country is built by immigrant, and the immigrant has done tremendously for the development of this country. And so I think we should embrace immigrant rather than keep them out of the country.
Well, if you look at the statistics, and the U.S. Census Bureau says that on average, most Asians, over 60%, that got here came here legally. They obtained green cards through employment or through family.
Right.
When you have a Democrat candidate saying it doesn't matter how you got here, the fact is we will now grant you a pathway to citizenship, what kind of message do you think that that sends to the people that did pay taxes, that did pay the legal fees, that did in fact take the time and work through the system?
Right. Well, I think certainly that for people who got here legally and that they have, deservedly to question maybe some of the policies. But then many of the people who came here illegally, and that they have been also paying taxes, their children here then continue to pay taxes. So I think as a way to resolve this, I certainly think that a pathway for citizenship or a permanent resident is the best way to making the undocumented alien legal residents here.
Well, let's talk about some of the economic ramifications at play here. Labor economists say that undocumented workers have lowered the wages of U.S. adults without high school diplomas by about 7.4%. So what impact does that have on economic growth?
I don't know, because there's varying studies about impact of immigration. And I think, when you look at it broadly, the immigrant has revitalized many different communities throughout the country. And in New York City, that is an immigrant city that, since I think the 1965, when the immigration law changed, that many immigrant, Asian, Latino that are coming into the city that have revitalized many different neighborhoods.
Well, there's many arguments to be made for and pro, as you say, but at the end of the day, Does any of this really matter? If we look at President Obama, he tried to pass his immigration reform, had to do it through an executive order, and now that's being held up by a divided Supreme Court. Do you see anything actually materializing regardless of the outcome?
I think this election will probably give Republican really, pause to really want to take some action on the immigration. They have not been moving at all on this issue. And then with the Latino vote, as we've seen in this election, they're surging, voting for Hillary Clinton. I think Republicans will really want to make sure that they will have the Latino vote the next time around.
All right. Of course, we will see how all of this transpires. By this time tomorrow, we'll definitely have a clearer picture. Thank you so much, John Wang,
Thank you.
founder and president of the Asian American Business Development Center.